Yo, Kit-Based Guy here. Hey, so Ultimea has sent me out their newly released Skywave X70 7.1.4 Dolby Atmos soundbar that I've been actually listening to for about a couple of weeks now. Shout out to them for sending this to me out for review. This is a big deal because there's a lot of marketing. This is probably the most marketing I've seen Ultimea do on one of their soundbars. They really put a lot of time into this, and I have thoroughly tested it, and the results are interesting. So like I said, 7.1.4 Dolby Atmos system, meaning you have a full Atmos section. Your rear speakers, they are wireless satellite speakers that connect to the soundbar. They have upward firing speakers in them as well. So you have rear Atmos there. The soundbar has multiple drivers on the front. So your front left, center, front right is all here, but you also have Atmos speakers on the top side of the soundbar that fire forward and they bounce back to your listening position. Same idea with these. So these rear satellite speakers are actually really good. One of my biggest complaints about soundbars is that the rear satellite surround performance is always pretty weak in most soundbars, but this actually does very well. Now, there are times, depending on what you're watching, where sometimes you get voices coming out of the rear. It can distract you, but most of the time when you're watching things like Netflix or Hulu or whatever with actual Dolby content, you actually get really good surround sound out of this system. Now, this thing right here is something that we have to talk about, and that's going to be most of the focus of this video is this subwoofer. This is a 10-inch subwoofer that they claim can reach down to 20 hertz, and that is a big deal because most sound bars only get to about 40, maybe 35 hertz. They tell me that this can get down to 20 hertz of low-end extension, and if you think we're not going to test that out, we definitely are. Stay tuned for that because I actually have some SPL meter results that are going to surprise you. How does this thing sound? Well, I'm going to put a clip in here for you. You guys can tell me on your own.
Impossible. I enjoy that look of confusion when an inferior being meets a higher power.
So quite honestly, this soundbar sounds really good. And I'm actually impressed when I do watch movie content, whether that be Netflix or Hulu or Paramount Plus. When I watch Dolby Atmos content, it actually gives me really good surround sound. The satellite speakers are really active. The soundbar sounds great. It gets incredibly loud. This is one of the loudest soundbars that I've heard. And the bass really kicks. This subwoofer really performs like your home theater subwoofers would. This is a 10-inch subwoofer, like I said, and it's ported on the back. It is wireless as well. This actually has some serious kick to the point where I have the bass turned all the way down on the app that they provide you or on the remote that you can use that lowers the bass on this because it is so loud. Even at the lowest volume, there's still a lot of bass that comes from this subwoofer, which I think is one of the most, if not the most impressive part about the soundbar setup is the subwoofer. It actually sounds really good and plays really loud and low, which most soundbars nowadays don't do. So hats off to Ultimea for this subwoofer. But the sound's really good. Music sounds really good too. There's tons of sound modes that you can use, or you can go into the app and create your own. So they have about 5 or 6 presets that you can just click on to tailor the sound to what you're listening to or the mood or maybe the time of day. But you can go to the customization part of the app and make your own EQ. So if you like a little less bass, a little more mid-range, a little less treble, you can make that preset and save it and name it for that mode, maybe music mode or movie mode. If you want more bass, you can crank up the bass and lower the treble. So they give you a lot of hands-on with this soundbar. Or you can just keep it simple and use a remote and change bass and treble. You can turn the satellites up and down. You can even turn up and down the up-firing speakers for the Atmos if you want a little bit more. So let's go back to the subwoofer. Ultimea has done tons of marketing, more so on the subwoofer than the soundbar itself, claiming that this can get down to 20 hertz. Let me go into the living room and we'll see if that's true. We're going to find out if this sub can do 20 hertz like they advertise. We're going to start off with 30 hertz, then 25, then 20. And I also have a decibel meter right here to show us how loud we're actually getting, if it can play it at all. This is in the back of the room, so where the bass should be the most live. I'll have the microphone here. I'll also walk up towards the sub to see if there's any output next to the sub as well. Let's start off with 30 hertz. We're at a very high volume. We're at 37, 36 on the soundbar, which is actually really loud. So let's start off with 30 hertz. And that's, you can clearly hear that. 100 dBs back here. Let's get closer. Yeah, not bad at all for a soundbar subwoofer. Let's switch over to 25 hertz. Significantly quieter. Significantly. So I can still hear that back here, but it's very faint, and especially in comparison to 30 hertz. Let's see what we're getting up close. I'll even turn on the flashlight so you can see the driver in there. Yeah, significantly quieter than the 30 hertz. Let's do the 20 hertz, what they say the subwoofer can get to. 20 hertz test. Where's that tab at? Let's go up close. So all you're really getting out of this is distortion. I mean, remember, the volume level is very loud. This is 35. You can't hear the 20 hertz hardly at all. You can kind of hear 25, but you can really hear 30. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So overall, my final thoughts on the Skywave X70. I think, well, this is Ultimea's best soundbar, and it sounds really good. It comes at a price of $870, which is no small pocket change. Does it live up to the 870? It's hard to say. There's not hardly any soundbars out there that are going to give you the subwoofer bass performance that this will without spending this much money. But where I kind of struggle to get the value out of it is because although the system sounds good, there are times when the soundbar just sounds really tinny. And it's a plastic enclosure. Depending on what you're watching, sometimes you can have really lackluster sound quality. It gets loud, the bass is always there, but sometimes when you're watching content, say YouTube or regular TV or something like that, or even sometimes in movies or shows, sometimes the soundbar just sounds so tinny in comparison to when the bass is going crazy and action and things like that, and it's kind of disappointing. It's to be expected when you have a soundbar that only weighs, I don't know, maybe 20 pounds or so. You can hear that. So I do wish that the soundbar had more bass of its own. I feel like there is a disconnect between soundbar and subwoofer. There's so much bass that you can't tame that I wish that the soundbar had more mid-range presence, because it feels like there's a hole in the sound sometimes. So maybe in future iterations of the Skywave, Ultimea can make the soundbar drivers maybe a little bit bigger, or put more mid-range bass in the soundbar so that it blends better with the subwoofer, because sometimes things can sound really tin can-like whenever you're watching certain shows. So with that being said, is it worth the $870? I don't think that it's not, but I do expect this to go on sales regularly, maybe under $800. If it's under like $799, $749, I think it's a steal. But for $870, I think it's still a really good soundbar, and you should consider it. But just take a look at other brands and make sure you're getting what you want out of it. With that being said, I wish that the subwoofer got to 20 hertz. It does not get down to 20 hertz. I heard nothing. I mean, a little bit, but most of it was just mechanical noise. 25 hertz is there. 30 hertz is chest pounding, which is still impressive because most soundbar subwoofers don't even get anywhere near 40 hertz, let alone 30. So I still think the subwoofer is incredibly impressive. They do have a lower tier soundbar. I think it's the Skywave X70 for an 8-inch subwoofer. If you don't want a subwoofer this big, you can go down to their 8-inch subwoofer, which will probably still get about 30-35 hertz. But I think this is a really nice soundbar with really good rear presentation and a pretty convincing Atmos section. And Ultimea is a really good brand when it comes to quality, things long lasting, customer support. I think they're really taking the soundbar space by storm, really rivaling people like Vizio or Samsung. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me a comment down below. Based off this video, do you guys think the Skywave X70 is worth it? Let me know that down below in the comment section. Thank you so much to the team at Ultimea for sending this to me out for review. Stay tuned for all my other Ultimea videos that I've done in the past and will do in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already. We will see you in the next video. Keep it sky out. Peace.